So my plan today is to look at Picasso's work here for inspiration to do something experimental. So this is actually a portrait, and if you look carefully you can make out the head, eyes, mouth, there are hands down here. It's fairly obscure, but the whole point of Cubism was about distorting and changing and not doing anything in a photographic way. Here are two more examples, and I've sent you a couple of pictures with the link to download, so this one as well. This is a still life. Just move it over so it doesn't reflect. And we've got newspaper cuttings. This is actually still life based on a meal. We've got a person here. There's a moustache. Got a person here. We've got fork. We've got newspaper, and so it's all, there's a theme to it. Anyway, what I thought we'd do is it's the stylistic elements I'm looking at, and to me, all these cubist shapes remind me very much of what we've been working on in the last project, which is our castle. So what I'm going to do is move that aside, is do a drawing. I've done a little sketch already. This is just a small sketch, just in a sort of cubist-ish way, taking some of the shapes out of this scene and rearranging them. And in fact, one way you can do this is to get your photograph of the castle scene, like this, and you could cut out these shapes and reshape them, reform them into a collage, and then do a painting of your collage. So that's one way of changing things. But we've got the keep, we've got the, in fact, if you look at my sketch, we've got things like little dormer windows, we've got shapes in the village which we can explore, roof shapes and so on. And let's just have a bit of a play. And the idea isn't necessarily to come up with something that looks like a castle, but something that's just inspired by the castle. So if we start with the keep shape itself, it's sort of tilting over. Let's put part of it down here. And I'm just going to take some of the key shapes. And play with them, and also you can distort things as well a bit here. You can change things. There's some windows that you see through to the sky. So it's like eyes, really. Let's zoom in a bit on what I'm drawing now, so you can see the idea. We could go up to another level. And be free. Don't do this as a really neat and a perfect exercise. Do it as a real experiment. So we've got some more window shapes, and let's do an arch here. Let's take the gatehouses, which are the round ones. I'll move them up a bit so we can see. We've got one sort of. Let's tilt it in a bit. Let's tilt it out this way. I'm just going to move it around. In fact, one of the methods that the Cubist, Picasso, Braque, and so on used was the idea was to look at their subject from multiple viewpoints, not just from one viewpoint. So we can have the castle leaning in here. Maybe we can still break it down a bit, make it less neat, make it a bit of a ruin. So I started off with a neat shape and I'm just distorting it. We're going to have shadows, interestingly, so we can have shadows that are sort of thrown by one shape and onto another shape. We can have overlapping shapes. Maybe the gatehouse here, this one. I might lose that bit. Let's have this one tilting the other way. Little bits coming out of it too. So if you work like this, you don't have to follow my plan, you can just take a lot of these shapes. So I'm taking these bits of the castle, maybe that's enough for the castle. Let's take something from the village. I've also got the railings with the posts, so I can just make a little sort of shape of that going down, make a tilt up a bit more. We've got pathways, we've got tracks, we've got tree shapes, we've got the dormer windows, which I quite like, so let's just take some of those, maybe go the other way with this one. And I've got the other shard of the castle, let's have that coming up through here maybe. Catching the light. So I'm just drawing some of the shapes in it and exploiting what I see. And there's bits of grass and hilltop, so we can put that in, we can leave it out. We can go up even higher here. Maybe just have a single bit there instead of a double bit, I don't know. And we've got jagged walls going down. And we've got, I'm going to just take some of the shapes and fill in the gaps with more of the shapes, I think. There's a roof of the pub down here. You've even got traffic lights. And tree shapes. So we've got lots of shapes going on there. We could repeat a few more, but maybe that's enough just to show a method of working. And what the painting was interesting for was the light-dark contrast, which we have got, of course, in our study. So I'm doing this just in watercolour. You could incorporate ink into this. You could use felt tip pens. You could use anything you like, really. As I've been working in acrylics for the last couple of weeks, I'm doing watercolour here. So let's just start with a big. Actually, I'll do a sky wash in the traditional way. So just grabbing up a nice Chinese brush, stringy brush. Let's wet the sky. I'm being very sloppy, but, and go for bright colours in this. This is all about, drama and exploiting what you see. So let's put a lovely vibrant sky up here. And if things run and dribble one thing into another, it really doesn't matter. So this is the right way up, but of course you don't even have to do things the right way up. You could do things upside down, twist around a bit. So here's our sky, but don't forget we've got sky holes coming through our windows. Maybe these windows have got sky coming through. That'll do. Maybe over here too, I'll put one in down there, I think. Just got to feel how much a bit more. But everything's sort of tipping up, that's the point. Everything's tipping up and tipping over. So let's just have some fun. And then put some trees in lower down. So I've got some green here. Now, again, you could get the rubber and tidy up. Because this was early in the year, there was the actual photographs were taken at Easter time. So I'm going to have a copper beach, just sending up some colours here. But really, this is all based on drama. So if we're watercolouring, we can do the light colours first. So I think I'm going to make the colours a bit more exciting and paint sort of most of the brickwork in a sort of pale, there we go, sort of peachy, orangey colour. So here we go. Make it a bit more orange in a few places. Make it a bit more yellow. This is actually, that's Naples yellow plus cadmium orange. There we are, that's exciting, isn't it? So I'm just zipping around doing light areas, but I might throw some shadows over some of this. There we are, there's some shadows running into it. Let the sky run into it, create its own shadows. So we've got a bit of excitement going on with that. Let's put the lights on in a couple of windows. And now we're going to do something with the opposite colours. So I've got some indigo here. If I can get my indigo, hang on, which one's my indigo? I think it's this one. Here it is, indigo, to which I'm going to add something like burnt umber, just to get a nice dramatic dark. So I'm just doing this with pan colours. Let's put some shadows in. So put some shadows inside. This tower, maybe break it down a bit too. Some shadows inside that one. And on the right side. There doesn't have to really be a logic to this, but if you sort of work with light on the left and shadows on the right, I think it would create more of an illusion of it, sort of something that could almost believe. And now I need my second brush. So I've got my flat brush here, and just by joining the colours together, I just run a damp brush across them. So I do the same over here. Just run a damp brush through the middle. So you can almost just go in every other section, put a shadow, and in every other section the other way, paint something light. So I've got my sort of, let's make those a bit darker going in. Windows. And we can paint some paler grey for the dormer windows. Rooftops. Throw some shadows down on this bit. Maybe not as dark as the other bits. And so on. So really, if you work, actually there's indigo. I'm using a bit of, I'm using some Indian red now because it's making a sort of really purpley, dark colour, which I like. Darks in down that side too. Some dark wall down in there. Oh, I've messed up my fencing here. I was supposed to have it in the light, but bits of it will be. So I'm just painting in between my lines here. Just creates a sort of nice little structural device in the middle ground there. And as things dry, I mean, I'm racing through this, so I'm probably being a bit casual. You can even add a little, draw back into it with little edges of shadows in there underneath the roof shapes and so on. Need to strengthen those colours. I put a bit of green into the scene as well, so we've got some green through here. And that's a little bit too emerald, so I'll just add some yellow to that green. Maybe I've got some green down there, here and here. And so it's a green growing on top of bits of the building. So you almost can, sorry that's a bit too strong but it doesn't matter, you can do anything you like it, you can almost make this up as you go along, you can almost design things on the hoof as it were, but I think the more you've worked out in your drawing how it should work out, I think the more you can get something that has a bit of convincing interest to it. So let's go into the stony colours down below. So yellowy perfect stone. This is supposed to be my copper beach. But really this whole thing does depend on contrast. So if you're timid, I think it's not going to have quite the same effect as if you're bold. So just going back into some of the shadows to reinforce them. Let's work out what to do here. Lots of the Cubist paintings really you have this strong light to dark element going on, so you can see why I'm putting this in with very vivid contrasts. You can put in stony shapes, rectangles, like that. More light in here. More shadow down here. I was just going to put one colour in and drop another colour above it so we get a bit of a graduation. So these are my traffic lights. Not necessary if you don't want them. I mean, Cubism did use all these sort of modern elements to it's using a little bit of light catching the overhang of the canopy above the light. There we go. I think I've done it too quickly and lost the so the green's got corrupted. Never mind. Does any of this make sense? Well, I'll be impressed if any of you do this, because I appreciate there's resistance often to the more modernistic exercises that we might try to pursue in the class, but so this is a bit of roof in here again, grey. I'm going to make the tree down here a bit darker, so I'm mixing a indigo with some raw amber this time, and that produces a lovely sort of dark. It's actually using the sumi again. Let's get the colour on with the sumi. So we're just about done. And obviously entirely up to you if you take a lot of care on this and decide to really do it carefully, which could be exciting. I mean, and we could have far fewer things going on, but just repeat shapes like the Picasso. Now just going back into my shadows in these windows, which were so dark. It's just now about patterns, do you keep going or do you stop? I think the answer is probably the latter. So just make this shadow a bit darker in here. So you could do this exercise in pastel or crayon or in any medium. I don't think there'd be any restriction. It would work perfectly in acrylic or oils. I think if you can get something dramatic in watercolour, which is, if you like, the most delicate, subtle medium, if you can get something dramatic out of that, I think the answer is you can probably get something dramatic out of any medium you choose. So here we go, just extending some of the shapes there. So give it a go. I'll send a picture of the finished product as well. Thank you for watching.